Hey gang, I've been meaning to make this video for a while now. Gaming journalism in 2023. Now, let's establish some background first. I've been an independent game journalist, game reviewer and game media enthusiast and game journalist. I guess I'll use the title appropriate for over 10 years. I did some work previously for some other sites, all free stuff. And then I launched Angel Syndicate over 10 years ago. It's like, I think almost 12 years now. And despite our lengthy hiatus the last year and a half, 2 years due to COVID and other things, I have been covering game news, reviewing games, previewing games for over a decade. And, you know, as a lover who's passionate of games, I have read all sorts of gaming articles, news, and whatnot from a variety of sites. You all know most of the sites. I have thoughts on game journalism, especially in a post after Gamersgate and that all craziness and all the things that have happened, but most recently with all the closures of game media sites. And a lot of my game journalist friends who were working in the space and paid by these sites have now moved on to other things, whether it's onto regular news cycles, or they've become streamers or YouTubers or whatever it is. The face of game journalism and game news coverage is changing. You know, it's no longer just the domain of written reviews or magazines or anything else. It's, streamers are covering games all the time. YouTubers are covering games all the time. And it's not just Let's Plays and walkthroughs and guides. It's reviews and previews and reacts and reactions to news. And the whole landscape has changed. What does that mean for traditional print game news? Well, it's harder to capture an audience. That remains true. There's, all kinds of sites who are doing it professionally with advertising. And then there's independent sites like mine who do it with no advertising. It's all out-of-pocket covers for site fees and things like that. And, I don't have advertising on the site. I had one affiliate program I was in that was not gaming related, but for the most part, I kept advertising off the site. Partly because a lot of the advertising I could get was gambling sites and things, which I don't particularly espouse. But also, it's because of the perception of, if you take advertising from gaming or about games and things like that, there's a question about your coverage and your integrity. Now, let me be clear. I have not, in my over 10, almost 15 years in the game news journalism space, have I personally heard of anyone taking money for reviews. I've never personally known anyone who was paid to review a thing. Other than some streamers. That's been a thing that I've heard streamers have happened, that's been exposed. And I'm sure I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying I have not personally heard of it happening to anyone with anyone I know or know of. Then, for myself, I've never been paid to review anything. I've been offered pay, but I refused that and I didn't review that product. But I have never been paid. I have received free games. I've received free review units of headsets, keyboards, and a couple of capture cards over the years. But those were with no expectation of my review score or comments. And I will always approach that when I, put in review requests or accepted review copies. I have never been told, if you can't give this a good review, don't publish it. It's never been a thing that I've encountered. So, that out of the way, like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I've not heard of it personally. I can't give stories. I'm not going to give hearsay of things that have been rumored or, whatever, because that would be not only improper, but it'd be disingenuous. I can only confirm what I personally have experienced. Now, with gaming news, with my site particularly, we don't editorialize the news. We never generally have. editorials were a separate thing. When news came out, whether mostly it's press releases, we put the press releases right in the news piece and let the games sell themselves. We just basically delivered the press release on the platform. If we had connections to review content that we've done or editorial pieces, things like that were connected to it, we would link to those. But generally it was just, here's the news regarding this game. And that's the way it was. Partly because we don't want to color our thoughts on a news piece. That's what reviews and previews and editorials are for. And we have generally avoided doing the clickbaity puff pieces. You know, like I saw one recently on a particular well-known site about Baldur's Gate 3. And it was a opinion piece that was sure to stir the pot and drive clicks and, you know, get people talking positively or negatively, whatever. And that's the nature of for-profit game news, which is becoming a dying institution. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. Writers deserve to be paid. Just like writers for movies and things like that, they need to be paid for good work. The whole writing in order to drive traffic and clicks in order to generate ad revenue model, that's a different story entirely, because that gets into very murky ground. And that's the problem that we saw with the whole Gamersgate movement and, you know, the corruption in game journalism movement and the questions of integrity and our sites accepting money for reviews. And we know all this. It's not new news. But, you know, that's where the perception of the general public is. If you're taking advertising dollars from the games you're covering, how objective can you be? I know several who are professional game journalists who I trust their integrity, and I know that they themselves would not let advertising color their perspectives and their objectivity when it came to reviews. But that doesn't mean that there are others that have done that. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means that it's a natural consequence of anything where, you know, humans are involved. There are people who are going to sell their opinions, influencers who are going to sell their opinions and their thoughts for a price. That's true in every industry that involves anything, whether it's games, movies, books, makeup, any kind of product that is being advertised or a influencer is reviewing could be an exchange of money involved, which needs to be disclaimed, starters. Like, whenever I receive a review copy or a stream copy, I disclaim it because it's relevant. You know, I received a review copy of insert game here. I'm trying to think of the most recent ones. Fae Farm that I'll be covering, and WrestleQuest through Dare Drop, although that's not something I'm reviewing, that's a separate thing. But I still disclaimed that I got a free key because of the Dare Drop. Or Fae Farm, I got a free key through Keymailer from the publisher to play the game early and stream it. You know, those things are necessary for transparency and integrity and just being genuine in what you're doing. And as a reviewer, I've, you know, disclosed that we received a review copy of X game. If we didn't receive a review copy, and it's something that either myself or one of the writers bought because we wanted to play it and review it, usually we disclaim that as well. If there's no disclaimer, it generally means that it was something we bought and we just covered ourselves, or, you know, like a retro game or something like that. But if it's something we received a free copy of, we disclaim it. That's important. It's, you know, citing your sources, basically. Do all game journalists do that? Probably not. Should they? Absolutely. So what does that mean for 2023 and the shifting nature of the business? Well, it's getting more competitive. You know, with streamers and YouTubers moving ever increasingly into the space, and they're, you know, producing real-time reactions, whether it's live content or they're reacting to trailers, they're uploading to YouTube, it's out into the masses and everybody's seeing it. They're doing reviews live or they're recording reviews live. And video and talking about games is much more interactive to a lot of viewers than it is to read print. I don't think print's going to go away. I just think the money side of it is going to change, and we're going to see more and more paid game news media sites closing. You know, some of the bigger ones may have that longevity. They may be around for quite a while, but you know, the pay rates are going to go down, and we're going to see a lot more game journalists either leaving the space or transitioning, as I have, to streaming and video content. You know, I would like to do all three, and I plan to. You know, I plan on reviving the site again, you know, after a series of unfortunate things that, you know, ended up losing 10 years of back history work. The archives are somewhat gone. The site looks smaller because, well, we lost a lot of content, and writers have moved on as they do, gone on to either new jobs or positions in the industry, or left the space. And, you know, I have to rebuild that sector of my overall sphere of content. But the point of it is that the nature of game news coverage is changing, and we have to change with it. And it's only going to be people who are agile enough to understand and see it coming that are going to survive the next wave of things, because it's going to change. TikTok is massively changing the game. Short media content, reacting to trailers, breaking news, it's all there. It's immediate. It's under a minute. It's consumable. And people need to, you know, get in front of it. We need to get in front of it. But we need to be transparent about it. And I think that's the challenge. You know, game journalism going forward is going to be a battle of traffic, clicks, transparency, and integrity. And unfortunately, a lot of sites are going to produce tough clickbait crap that has to be waded through to get to the nuggets of actually either good journalism, which does happen. There are sites that do good investigative reporting. Not mine, because that's not what we do. We just talk about games we love and games we didn't like. But other sites are doing fantastic work. There are game journalists out there who are doing real journalism work in the gaming space. And they are fantastic, and I applaud them. But for every one of them, there's going to be 20 puff piece writers who are just crafting controversy to get the readers riled up so that they're commenting and driving clicks and, you know, getting traffic through the door so that they can make the ad money so the site can last longer. For myself, what does game journalism in 2023 mean? It means that I need to do more video content. I need to stream more and cover news and, you know, I might have to do more of the trailer reaction stuff. I did a little bit of it. It wasn't bad. It's the only react content I'm probably going to do. If I can react and actually provide information or insight that might have meaning, I'm not just going to go, shock, le gasp, oh, and that be the end of it, because that doesn't work for anybody. But the nature of the business is changing, and readers and viewers have questions of integrity, rightfully so. Hold the people that you go to for either news coverage or review coverage, hold them accountable. Make sure they're, you know, disclaiming how they got their copies. Make sure that, you know, any hint of impropriety gets checked into. And to my friends in development and publishing and PR, I'm sorry for the hate you have endured. Game journalists, especially female game journalists or non-binary game journalists, I'm sorry for the hate you've endured. There is no place for hate in the space. You can have criticism. Constructive criticism is great. Hate, threats of violence, racial or sexual slurs, there's no room for that, especially game developers who are working their ass off to make games for people to enjoy. Do not deserve your hate. If you're not happy with the game, that's fair. Your dislike or discontent with a game and the direction it may have went in is completely valid, but you don't threaten somebody's life over it. There should be no room for that kind of toxicity in discussion about a hobby we all enjoy, or, you know, an industry we're all in love with, that we work in or play in. And unfortunately, some game journalists, where I use quotations again, have fanned those flames of hate and use that to propel themselves further, which just contaminates the space overall. It doesn't make any of us better. And honestly, it just makes me sad. So I'm hoping 2023, 2024, we start seeing a change in the discourse around gaming and the discourse around game journalism, and just better coverage, better transparency, and just a better sense of overall community within the gaming space. This went longer than I thought, but if you have thoughts, put them in the comments. Be nice. Be nice to each other. Be nice to me. I didn't do anything wrong, I hope. Like, subscribe, share your thoughts. Catch you later.